Hey guys, so today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, Omega Force's new title in the Fire Emblem Warriors franchise. So this game was developed by Omega Force and was just released as both a sequel to 2016's original Fire Emblem Warriors, but is also sort of an alternate retelling of the very well done Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I've only played about 2 hours of the game so far, and I do want to preface that this is not really a review. This is just my first impressions after said 2 hours, and I may end up doing a full review in the future, but just keep that in mind. I really just wanted to talk about if this game really seems to be worth your time from either a Fire Emblem fan's perspective or a Musou fan's perspective after about 2 hours. So with that, let's just get started. So right off the bat, you can choose between two characters, both a male and a female model for your character. And I won't spoil the story, but essentially they want to crush a mercenary army associated with a certain character that might be a bit familiar if you've played Three Houses. To be honest, I think the main character was really well designed. They look great, they seem to play great, you can change what class they play as. However, the character is a little bit cliche, to be honest with you. So, unlike a lot of other games, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes almost has a bit of an RPG mechanic to the game. You're able to talk to characters in quite a large amount of dialogue throughout the title. And what's really great is you actually get a lot of optional dialogue choices, which really help to make your character feel like yours. However, I really do want to say, unfortunately, that any semblance of choice is nothing but an illusion. Generally, from what I've seen, for the first 2 hours at least, no matter what you choose, you're basically going to get the same results. Also, the dialogue is really poorly written. Frankly, after about the first hour, and I do want to say most of the gameplay in the first 2 hours was nothing but cutscenes and dialogue. It was just so cringe that I ended up skipping most of it just so I could get to the combat. And this is coming from someone who is primarily speaking from the viewpoint of being a Musou fan, but someone who has also played quite a bit of Fire Emblem as well. It just does not stand up to the other games in the Fire Emblem series. With that in mind, some of the English voice acting is absolutely terrible, especially in the case of Arval. There are some interesting quips. Aoi specifically has some really cringy puns that he makes. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that up to you. But generally, the dialogue, at least for the first 2 hours, in my opinion, is just absolutely terrible. So early on in the game, you are forced to join one of the three houses, and although I do like this mechanic, I do wish they would have introduced some of the characters a little bit more before doing that. If you are not familiar at all with Fire Emblem Three Houses, you kind of just have multiple characters thrown up at you, and there's not really any time for you to get to know them to decide which faction you most align with. So I do think that was something that they could have done a little bit better, just maybe a few more battles and a little bit more time to really understand these characters. And you do get to talk to them some beforehand, of course. There's actually a hub system in the game where you're able to walk around and talk to the different potential party members. Doing so, in a lot of cases, will boost your relationships when you do. In general, all these students that you see can be played as in the game. They all have their own stats, and although they seem to have duplicate movesets, they do all have very unique character designs, which is probably more so because of the Fire Emblem Three Houses game, and not so much anything that Koei has done specifically here. Speaking of that, character designs here are absolutely great. Everybody looks very unique. All the colors, the designs, everything just looks good. Otherwise, the graphics are fine. I would say they do feel a little bit uninspired, and they really leave a lot to be desired in terms of stability. The game really does seem to chug at all times, and the stages are significantly more narrow than they used to be. Sure, they're more detailed in the last game, but with reduced size and the frame rate, it really doesn't matter. I would prefer to have a more stable frame rate, to be honest with you. And although there's not a ton of detail in the environments, it does seem like there's significantly more than the last game, Fire Emblem Warriors. But unfortunately, it seems like a lot of reused assets are from the previous Three Houses game. So it's fine, that game had some really good assets, but it does seem a little bit lazy on Omega Force's part. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about the combat. So I first want to preface that the combat seems to be, in my opinion, the best part of the game so far. It seems like they've taken a lot of the positive aspects of Fire Emblem Warriors and rolled with them and made them more refined. As usual, you're able to play a variety of classes with different abilities. Certain classes have advantages over others, and there's sort of a triangle, like rock, paper, scissors system here. Actually, when you're in battle, you can see if you have an advantage over someone or not in the display. I do want to say the combat is pretty flashy. All the character movesets look pretty good. I do think we could have had some more of those, because I could be wrong, but it seems like most of those movesets are duplicated, but they're fine for what they are. The real hook of Fire Emblem Warriors, however, is the sort of fusion of the strategy system of Fire Emblem with some of the Musou battles. This returns. It's actually really well done here. You're able to issue orders just like you could in the first game from the minimap. However, in this case, you can have individuals auto-battle, so you don't really necessarily have to do that, fight yourself. And you can see the percentage chance of you winning versus that character each time. And really, at the higher difficulties, I could very easily see this game becoming a very frantic, pausing the game nonstop and seeing who you want to send where to be as tactical as possible. So that aspect of the game is absolutely great, and I hope they maintain this if they do make any more of these games, but really, that's the best part of the game here. A lot of the Fire Emblem-esque social aspects of the game that are new here are a little boring, to be honest with you. This may change as the game progresses, I'm hoping it does, but I don't really see any positive aspects for me personally, to be honest. Treasure chests and keys return. With this in mind, there's actually a ton of items in the game that can be equipped. I don't necessarily know how vital those are to your gameplay. Currently the game seems pretty easy on normal mode. This may be something that impacts more strongly at the harder difficulties, but now I can't really say much. One thing I do like about this game is the implementation of giant beasts, sort of in Hyrule Warriors or Gundam Musou, and the mechanics they come along with. They've seemed to improve a lot on those previous games' functionalities, and it seems like it could be potentially a very fun mechanic depending on how the game progresses. So that's all there really is to say. I know this is not a full review. If you would like me to do a full review of the game, leave a comment below, and I'll consider that in the future. If you liked this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for more reviews of other Musou games. Thanks for watching.